Hello everyone, this video is not sponsored. This is the Lumibricks Floating Train Station set from their Cyberpunk series with 2,760 pieces. The retail price is $170 US, but they always have discounts and I got mine for $153. As expected, this one has a lot of fancy lighting features, and as usual, I will turn down the lights in my studio later on to let you see these in a more high contrast setting, but for now, let me just give you an overview of the whole thing. The main structure is essentially 4 stories tall. Up top, this is a surveillance center where all of the surveillance cameras around the entire cyberpunk city come together and get monitored. It's also control for the train system itself. And then in here are essentially 2 floors, but they're basically merged inside the space, and there's not a whole lot of stuff in here. So it kind of feels like there's quite a bit of wasted space where more of it is about the external look than actual use by the figures. The platform that has the train station on it is relatively generous, although the rail system is not. There's just a little bit short amount of rail that this can move forward and back on. It's a monorail sort of setup, and I'll of course give you a closer look at that. Has a very interesting and new, for Lumibricks, new lighting feature back here. Some nice optics going on there. And then down at the ground floor, you can see that this is on a standard 32 by 32 square. It's got the plate and then effectively the thickness of a brick, and then tiles and plates on top of that for its standard, what they've continued to use since their very first Cyberpunk series set. And it does have connectors, so it'll fit into the rest of the series where you only have to supply power to one of them, and then power will automatically distribute from one to the next. You have some pull out or openable areas. So this here is able to pull out completely, coming around the back. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. I am running mine off of a USB power pack as usual, but you can hook up a 3 AA battery pack here, just one that they include, can be attached to the outside, or you can use continuous power if you want. This is able to pull out here, and this is able to open up as well to show you more of the interior without having to take the whole thing apart. That said, I'm going to start my tour of this up top because it's much easier to do that way. There are 2 main light sources up here. So this glows down below with a very, very cool light. You can slightly change the angle of this transceiver, I'm assuming. And then you've got the marker light up there, the indicator light. You've got a print over here to suggest that drones are being controlled from here, although there's no actual drone or quadcopter sort of thing that's included in this set. You can take the roof off, but again, the easiest access is always going to be by just opening up one of these panels. And inside you see it's an office sort of setting with a whole lot of screens, and all of those are using printed pieces. The desks have the vertically mounted studs, the studs on the side sort of construction to hold the feet of minifigures, since Lumibricks figures don't sit in seats very well. That's a nice little temporary solution that they've come up with while they work on slightly redesigning their figures. And then you see that the floor down here is all completely covered up with trans light blue. I can just quickly go ahead and take the top off as well, just to let a little bit more light in there to show you just a little bit more of that, but it doesn't really let you see all that much more. It just lets us get more light in more conveniently. Most of the wires in this are routed pretty well. You'll see a couple of them that are a little bit exposed, but also, of course, you've got the faux EL wire. It's not actual EL wire here. This is just a tube, essentially a fiber optic tube that has a slight bit of frosting to it. So you can see the wire there is going to an LED that is sending light into the tube, and then just diffuses out a little bit, gets slightly darker the farthest away from the 2 light inputs. The other one is over here, but it works pretty well. It's a good effect, and it doesn't run warm. Like there's no heat in here, obviously. It's just heat with each of these LEDs, and they're pretty cool as well. Moving down a level, they've done this before, but not exactly this way. So here they've got an actual timed pair of illuminators down here at the base. They're 1x4 each. Each one has 3 LEDs within it. And then you have these 2 hard plastic printed. It feels etched, but I believe it's actually printed with white. If I'm not mistaken, I've still not taken a loop to that or microscope to it to see exactly how it's done, but I believe it's just printed with the white on top. And so you put those together, and it's 2 different versions of the same thing. Unfortunately, the blue one is good. The green one, it's just it's just not isolating enough to really show that animation sort of style. Maybe if they were the same color, it would work out a little bit better. But yeah, it's a very, very nice attempt. But in practice, it doesn't quite work out as well as I would like. But it's nice to see, and it definitely works within this context. I forgot to mention that this is also able to open here, this whole panel. So that lets you see the combined interior sections, which is essentially 2 floors. So it's mostly just about the ladder or the stairway here. Honestly, it's giving you some access. Some wires come together there, and that's just it. A little landing there, a little platform, and then the stairs continue up. So really, this whole section is not doing much over here. However, there is this pull-out area, which is for minifigures accessed from the other side. But here we can see that this is a handle for us humans to take it out. And that just makes it convenient for me to show you the other side as well. Print here as well. And it's just a toilet, obviously. And if that grosses you out, that's okay. Because they also they thought about that. They include an alternate tile down there. They include an alternate tile that does not have any print. So if you don't want that there, they got you covered. And then you can see, it's a high-tech toilet. So a printed piece back there, but otherwise kind of brutalist interior, which totally makes sense. And this is just convenience to easily take out. Now inside of there, that's kind of a power distribution area back there. It's it's kind of like a fuse panel, and you can see that from over here as well, because all this is able to simply pop out, and that makes it easy to access this, and for us as humans to see it and appreciate it after the fact. Each of these is a printed tile that's in there, and it's just showing that some of the fuses are active, and one of them is blown out. You also do see a little bit of the actual power distribution over here on the outside, which probably could have been hidden away a little bit more easily, but at least the routing of the wires while putting this together has not been an issue. Now this looks like a Stargate over here for folks familiar with that IP. It's intended to be a portal, so it really is trying to work the same sort of way. It's saying that from here there is nothing additional physical in this space. So the train is actually emerging from a tech portal that is transporting it to some other place or bringing it in from some other place. All this wiring back here is, as you can see, fairly exposed, but it's fine. It works out okay. There are actually 2 layers of plate here one of them is coated on one side and the other one is not. One of them is tinted, the other one is not. And I'll show you exactly how that works out in just a second. Give me just a second. We'll clear some things off. This is a huge print right here. Obviously, this is a huge print. There's another print right there. These have prints on them, the canopies. And I'll go ahead and pull this off as well, the whole train unit. Those have prints, and each of those large pieces was protected in the package in its own wrap. It was individually wrapped up to make sure that none of them had any scuffs on them. I really appreciate that additional work, that additional care to make sure that we get stuff that's in good shape. They don't do it every single time, but much of the time, and increasingly they're doing that. And it's a very, it costs them extra, but ultimately gives us a better experience. These were also completely covered with kind of a shrink wrap. Now for this, I can go ahead and pull this down to get it out of the way, because that's only temporary, basically while the train is coming in and it's at its stop. So obviously this is where people would get on. Not that great access for figures, because figures, you have to imagine they have to jump up here, and then how are they able to get inside? There's no real suggestion of a door. Like that's kind of wonky, kind of funky there. But I'll go ahead and pull this off. You can see that it is well secured. You can almost feel through the camera the friction on here as it clamps around, keeps it from moving side to side, and makes it difficult, and keeps it from coming up. And it makes it difficult just a little bit to move forward. I don't expect them personally to expand upon this system, this rail system. You can yourself. I would recommend modifying it so that it's not quite as tight. If you want to, add to this, plenty of people in the past have made brick-built monorail systems that use a block of basically regular bricks or plates and then tiles on top, and they're able to get them to curve as well with techniques. So there are plenty of options out there for doing the custom thing, but I don't see a lot of options with the system that's here from Lumibricks for them to increase and add to that. You've got some coated pieces here, which is kind of nice. Like this looks pretty good, but again, access for figures, not great. Just kind of imagining it in world. And then you do have the 2 studs here to have your driver held in place, but the person in the back is not able to be held in place with anything because you just kind of have to sit them there, and then they're not going to do anything except fall off because that's how their figures are designed. Unfortunately, they don't have that feature, so kind of stays there, but it's just kind of balancing. And I wish that there was another seat in each of these as well. It would have been nice because ultimately this is a train that holds a total of 3 passengers plus 1 driver. This is supposed to be a driver figure here. It's just an avatar and an AI, I believe. I do like the use of all of this trans-light blue down here, and I like the color scheme. It looks so much better than the bus did. It's using less colors, and it still feels like it's from that universe. But ultimately, this to me is just a little bit disappointing because it's a train station with a train, and the train doesn't do much. While I was building this live, everybody, myself included, was loving on that print right there. It's a 4x4 tile that represents some sort of integrated circuit or CPU that just happens to be embedded into the floor there. It just looks super cool. And it got me thinking, it got my imagination going wild. Like, imagine if this company did a full set of somewhat fantastical components, including more chips and things, and allowed you to build your own futuristic PC in like, I don't know, quarter scale or half scale or something like that. We've seen brick-based manufacturers do build your own PC things before, but never with a creative focus. I just think that if this company did such a thing, they would have a bunch of lights that you could alternately put in, your own kind of ways, and then you could build it up in your own way rather than just following one specific plan. Now, back there, that is your transport portal. It is an infinity mirror setup, which is not new to Lumibricks by any means. There are a lot of decorative items out there that give you this effect, but the effect is very, very effective, right? It looks good. It looks like there's more going on than there actually is. And I like it. I think, and this is in full light here. I've not tried to shade it or anything. That's in a brightly lit area. You're able to see the infinity mirror effect that well. So this is the surface here. Yeah. I mean, look at that. So it's a 2-way mirror and then 1 additional plate those 2 are stacked back to back, and ultimately you can't see through it. It's only essentially 2 studs or 2 bricks wide here, within just some additional decorations and things to help manage the wires. And then when you look at it from a different angle, it just becomes that much more impressive, which, like I said, I think it's really, really, really well done. And I'm happy with it. I wish that it was a little bit more visible though, because you only get this small little viewport, this small little window of space where you as a human normal person can see it, without using camera tricks or anything. And then beyond that, once the train is in place, it's blocking most of your view. So yeah, you can see some of it back there and it looks super cool, but it's just limited. I wish that they had spread things out a little bit more. I really feel like this one needed some more space, even if there wasn't a whole lot of stuff on an additional plate out here. If they had extended this out by 16 studs at the base, so make it a 1.5 base plate situation, keep the structure the same, but just give us a little bit more room for this to breathe. It also would have given us room for custom builders to add an additional car to the train. Which is not the responsibility of the designers or anything, but mostly just to be able to better appreciate the stuff that is here without adding a whole lot of additional bulk. Because this is an amazing feature. This is something that nobody has done before in brick building. It's really good, and it deserves to have more time and space to shine. Especially since we did pay for the whole thing. We do build it up. All right, I think that's about it for this whole level here. Just one more quick pass. Yeah, I closed it back up. So I'll go ahead down to the ground level and explain a couple of things. First of all, kind of auxiliary details. Things around the edges are very nice. As always, anytime there are multiple parts that get printed that need to be lined up, they will put the pieces together first and then print them so that they are forced to be lined up. You never have misalignments of that sort. Plenty of space down here to attach figures, although around the edges, they've gone with all tiles, which is something that, again, adult fans of brick-built stuff are always asking for. Just tile it off. Don't let me see a single stud. But then you don't have a lot of good places to put figures. So, thankfully, we've got these studs here, and there are studs further back, but just around the edges that are kind of closest to us. This is the main, most camera-friendly whole entire section of it. So it's nice to have some studs, but I personally would like to have just a handful more in here. These are really nice prints. I like those so much. They look really, really good. They have enough strength to them. Again, even in full light in the studio here. Little details I like. This is block because it's supposed to be for officials only, but you can see lights all around the space, and they don't put in a lot of green or a lot of yellow here. So just in general, I think the colors they tend to be relatively harmonious. All things considered, talking about the LEDs in here. Got another big print there. You've got a very large space you can see inside of there. That reminds me of laser tag arenas. And my gosh, these folks need to make an awesome, huge, multi-level laser tag arena where you can just open up the whole thing from one side. That's going to be incredible. You could also use it for like Cyberpunk SWAT team training. If you don't want it to be a recreational thing, make it a little bit more serious. This is a nice print right here. I like that they put it at an angle as well. We've seen this print here before as well. And then this one gets access around the side. So this is where figures can come in and out, right? Which is good to see. And I love this dark green here. That's a very, very classic color from the 1970s. It's being used more broadly here. The reason that there's this weird color is that that's from my own collection. I put that there to remind myself, to let you know that there was a piece that was wrong in this one. I was supposed to get a 1x12 and I got a 1x10. Just so that left a little bit of gap there. That's the only reason it's there. It should just all be black here. But there are two ways to access this as human figures. We can just access that little bit, and then you can use this to pull the chairs out. They do have the little studs on the side to hold the feet of the figures. You can see it back there. So you can have two figures set up here, or you can take the whole thing and just swing it out. Just do like this. The whole thing comes out, and that's great because that's so much more useful for us to see, to really see what's going on here. So we can see the other side that passengers would be accessing. I think this is supposed to be like that. I don't think I missed a piece there. I'll have to go back and triple check on that. But yeah, so this is, your little information desk. You'd have up to two people seated back there, and, you just walk in, regular folks will just walk in. And then inside there, you can see there is just so much transparent tiling over the whole thing. Not a very visible space though. That's another issue here. First of all, not very accessible, and then secondly, not very visible. It's nice though. I like it. It's a little bit dark, but it has a very strong tint to the lighting inside. You've got the little system map over there and stuff. Like, good details, nicely done, but not the most accessible after it's done, unfortunately. So I believe this is about as much as you can take things apart. You can take that. Oh, you can also take the roof off here. So take the roof off, remove the upper control center, and then you get all these access panels, which is just about the best that they could do, given that this does need to have a whole lot of structure to it. And oh my gosh, so many wires to light up everything so much. But as a result, you don't have quite the visual access or minifig placing access, or just appreciation of details access that you typically do from sets from this company. I actually like seeing it opened up like this a little bit more, especially this area right in here, leaving that open more. I think, honestly, I'm just seeing more light on the floors in there. And yeah, this just kind of works a little bit better for me in some ways. It lets me appreciate what's there a little bit more. So then, the idea of having this somewhere else in the sea, like just kind of next to it on its own small little platform with just some supports down below and, a basic set of stairs going up to it, just kind of works better for me. And again, on that same, in the same vein of opening things up if this had more room to breathe, if this could be more out like that, if this here was farther out, yeah, that's really what it needs. This is feeling so much better. Now I see more of the train. I see more of this. Just imagine all of this here just scooched up a little bit, or leave one of these off. Dare I do it? Do I do it live? Yeah. I'm gonna leave. Oh, and then you can see that color too. Yeah. Yeah. See, opening up. Yeah. That's the ticket. That would have been, yeah, I would have been much happier with the overall finished product. And finally, it's time to take a look at this thing with lights turned down in the studio. And in fact, for the first time ever in a regular review, I've turned off all of my lights. I did adjust my camera settings a little bit here, but this is au naturel here. This is just showing the lights from this set and no other lights whatsoever in the space. It's completely sealed off from any other light. So this is just what the set itself can do. And obviously there is a ton of light, right? The edge lit panels are very, very significant. I started to knock that one off accidentally. Sorry about that. The faux EL wire up here, even the little bit of glow up on the roof, and that small marker light up above, as well as the lights for the infinity mirror over here. Like that is actually giving you quite a bit of illumination to this entire side of the platform. And that glow feels now more like some sort of futuristic energy field, you know, and an actual plane that has energy within it that extends into another dimension or something. There's a lot of nice glow down below as well. Turning around to the non-camera friendly side, you can see just the lights on the back of the portal there, and then just a few lights inside. But around this side, you can see plenty. Like this is more than good enough. And of course, I will open stuff up as well. So there's the surveillance control room. Yep. Very, very visible without having to add any additional light. I mean, there's plenty going on there. Even this space along the side looks, you know, nicer, more interesting, especially with all of the little sparkles you get off the transparent pieces, including the orange and the floor that's done in the trans light blue there. And you can also see around the side here. I wish that this was just a little bit brighter. I guess it's supposed to be an alleyway is what it's supposed to represent. You know, the toilet is on the side over there. And then, you know, some municipal, you know, utility sort of stuff. But I personally wish that there was, I don't know, maybe like a red light in this corner, something different. And then here's the information booth. This one actually could have used some light for its sign. You know, the information sign itself could have been transparent so that itself would have been bright. You know, I think that would have been appropriate. I'm just, you know, looking for things that could potentially be better. I'm not mad at it or anything. And then with the lights in the room turned off and only focusing on the interior lights, it's much easier to see all of the transparent pieces on the inside used for the floors and the walls. And you can see through the doors here as well. You can see this green a little bit better. I forgot to show this. Like this is just so bright. This edge lit panel is so bright and clear and nicely done. You've got the print there where you can see it on the window. It's not lit up itself, but you know, you can see with the backlighting. These would have been great if these were edge lit as well. I mean, obviously I'm being super greedy here, you know, seeing things, additional things that I would like to see. It's just, this does excite me. The lighting here does excite me, and it is well done. It is good to look at from the outside. I just want to look at this one again as well, just because I can. Looking very quickly at figures, some people like them, some people don't, but Lumibricks has already said publicly that they are going to be changing them, updating them somewhat. They're gathering public feedback about that. But I don't know, this might be just me, but I kind of feel like there might be some sort of connection between these two on the right. I don't know what it is. I can't quite place it, but there's something there. There's something weird, or I don't know. It's messing with my brain a little bit. I love transparent figures, though. I love colored transparent things just in general, but this one has every single piece being transparent. And I'm happy to report that the plastics that they use there are not all hard and like polycarbonate. They actually fit into one another relatively easily, possibly even more easily than on the standard figures, which I really didn't expect. I was worried that these would be extra brittle, but it seems like they did their homework a little bit and tested some different materials and came up with a pretty good combination that hopefully should be pretty durable. But as usual, they do give you some extra parts, some extra arms and hands as well for those. But if you don't like these figures, especially the bodies are the most controversial things about them. The heads and hair pieces or headgear pieces are compatible with everybody's favorite standards, these style of super deformed weirdos. I love that Lumibricks can have a lot of fun with this line, the Cyberpunk series in particular, and they can do some weird stuff. You know, because they're just not constrained at all by realism or what we expect, what anybody expects. So yeah, you get some funky stuff, including just eyes being printed a little bit high so that a standard hairpiece cuts it off. You know, it gives a different look, and I personally appreciate that. I like that they're trying different things, but I respect that a lot of people don't like the designs of these figures. It is what it is. You're not paying a lot for them, that's for sure. You're mostly paying for the huge structure that you're getting. Speaking of which, coming back to this again, it's 2,760 pieces, this set, for $170, but you shouldn't pay more than $153 for it, with a whole lot of lights, some really, really special parts. Oh, this one has 24 lighted elements in total and 48 prints. Some of those prints are or printed pieces are very, very large as well. These plates for the infinity mirror are really special. Like there's extra value to that. This is not the same price to do that or to do something like this as it is to do, you know, a 1x2 plate. So that's one of the reasons I never look at price to part ratio, because it's dumb to do so. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. But the amount of stuff that is here for the price that I paid is, yeah, it feels fantastic to me. It really feels fantastic. And standing back and looking at all of this together, honestly, I like it. I like the look of it. But when I get in closer and I try to interact with it, that's where it starts to fall apart for me, and where I start to lose some of the good feelings about it. I start to realize that, well, okay, all this back here is hollow, and then this is a great feature, but I can barely see it over there. And then there's a train. I love trains, but then the train only holds 3 passengers. Well, let's say if it was autonomous, then it holds 4 passengers, and there's also no way for the passengers to really get onto it. You know, it breaks immersion a little bit too much. So ultimately, this one is not one of the best for overall design. It looks good. Also, not the best for their typical modular, accessible design as far as being able to remove floors and things and get in there more. Then again, if it was more accessible, what would you be accessing? Given that there's not that much on the inside beyond what we have seen and what we are able to access. A little bit torn on that, but ultimately this just doesn't feel like the best Cyberpunk set that they've done. The best is probably the game stack, which I will be reviewing very soon. Literally came out while I was building this one. So I'm going to keep working and keep just chewing through these things, doing the grind. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your time. I hope that even if you completely disagree with some of my personal opinions about these things, at least I'm giving you some valuable footage here and some valuable things to think about. Yeah. And then, you know, if you want to make a purchase, great. If you don't, all good. If I end up saving you some money because you're thinking about buying something and then my review convinces you that you don't want it, great. As long as it's an ultimate positive experience and you know, a beneficial experience for you one way or another. Again, thanks, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.